All right, everyone. Welcome back to the GDFL podcast. This is your host, Andrew Korn. This week I'm joined by Levi Hubbard, who is going to become a somewhat recurring guest on the show. And also joined this week is Mark. Mark, welcome to the show.
What's up, gents?
How's it going? You're on the West Coast these days. Where are you living at?
Just like LA area.
Living in LA? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Nice.
Very
got
cool.
some amount of daylight left.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I won't burn all of it for you. But I'm just curious. So, there's been a lot of people in the Detroit area, like really repping Lions gear lately. I'm just curious, like, who do people in LA root for if you see anything at all?
I think it's like a mix of Raiders and Niners.
Makes-
And then like
Mm.
one step below that is like Rams. And then like nobody's a fucking Chargers fan out here. Nobody cares. So,
All right.
but yeah, I heard because the Niners were at LA against the Rams this past weekend, and I heard there was like far more red shirts in the stadium than like Rams gear.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I
and
believe it.
I
Yeah.
mean, like LA just didn't have a team for so long, so I think they just kind of adopted the Niners and the Raiders, and then it's so like rooted in the culture out here. So
Hmm. I'm pretty sure the Raiders were in LA in like the 70s and 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, something like that.
Hmm. All right. So, I am going to start talking about what's going on this past week. So, all right. No one saw that. So this past week of matchups, I knew Mark as soon as I invited you onto the show that you were going to beat me, and it was just kind of going to end up being inevitable. I,
Yep, I tried to reverse jinx it.
mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just. Can you see my screen? Am I just
Not
No.
yet.
okay? I'm just being dumb then.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So no, nothing was actually missed. But yeah, no, I knew as soon as you joined, especially without you having a second quarterback, it was just like one of
hmm
those things where it's going to be. Yeah,
Me and Trevor, brothers in arms.
mm-hmm. Also, I'm going to
Who
shout
needs
out.
them?
Yeah, who needs a second quarterback? I'm going to shout
Yeah,
out
who
Ryan
needs
as
them?
well. Ryan actually did predict Trevor to win this past week. So good for Ryan for
Nail biter.
having the stones to call that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just like looking around the league. Looks like we had Stun's the only undefeated team to start off the season, which is good for Stun.
I think to add to that, I think this was my first ever week in this league of being a top scorer in any season.
All
And
right.
That's
just yeah,
shocking.
yeah, you just got to let go of your second quarterback. That's the catalyst. Yeah. The guys really rally around the team when you have to face some adversity like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. So for everyone listening who doesn't have a second quarterback for the week, don't trade for one.
Trade them to me. Yeah. Try out the strat.
All right, I dig it. Yeah, also I saw so we have a new team name here. We have Barbara's Bleak Team. So Levi, you have any insight you want to talk about that?
It only seemed right after discovering that I was going to be the league hero and he was going to be the league villain that we put it all on the line. And sure enough, we now have Barbara as a part of our league, and I'm pretty happy to see him start 1-2, let alone to beat him or her, Barbara. So
No, yeah, I'm happy to see it too. I'm happy to see Barbara pick up another L, especially after I picked Barbara to finish third in the league to start the season. So it's
it's
always
been a
good to see.
pretty bad start to the season for him. Like, objectively speaking, I'm
Mhm.
happy to see it, but his players are just not performing like I think any of us would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see it on the next slide, but Shrew has just, or Barbara has just been atrocious at setting a lineup.
Yeah,
It,
that's on the coach.
mhm.
Yeah.
Like if we're gonna, yeah, we'll look at it in the next slide when we get to it. But yeah, there definitely could be some improvement in that department. For some reason, Deshaun Watson is still the answer there. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in Shrew's head or Barbara's head about that one. You know, maybe one week we'll get some insight on why starting Deshaun Watson's a good idea. Yeah. Anywho, another matchup. So Sokol picked up his first win over Beans this week. It's good to see Sokol get right back on track and did so with a pretty good performance. Although Beans put up a pretty good fight in that one. And then we have Ryan beating Logan. Ryan's a bit of a surprise start at 2-1. Uh, still put up a pretty solid week there. He's just outside the playoff picture. And then
Yeah, Sokol, another team I think could really get some momentum here. I was kind of shocked to see them start 0-2.
mhm. Yeah,
Times 2 on that.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, a lot of it was again his team is the Lions offense, and the Lions offense getting off to a bit of a slow start
Yeah.
impacts his team.
Mhm.
And then Olave had a bit of a bounce back week this week, and so things are I think, starting to point up in the right direction for Sokol.
How'd Tyreek play without Tua?
That Dolphins offense is just kind of a mess without Tua. Like I don't
That's
think
it.
anyone did particularly well.
Once Tyler Huntley takes the reins, things will be different.
Yeah, and looks like he's gonna be starting this week. So looks like you only have one
Fingers,
week
yeah,
without.
fingers crossed.
I don't know if anyone watched that Dolphins game. I don't know if Skylar Thompson necessarily deserves another shot at it, but we'll see. All right. And then we're going to take a quick look at the standings here. So on the left side, we have it sorted by the standings. And then on the right side, we have the record scored by max point four. So, I mean, things that stick out to me again, Stun being in first, and also has over $100 in waiver money right now, too. So can make a big purchase at any point. And then, no shock, three of us are here towards the top five. We're off with pretty good starts this season.
Checks out.
And then we got Sokol, and right there is the top of the bottom of the or the top of the 1 and 2 teams. And then we actually have Trevor ahead of Barbara in the standings, which again, with knowing what expectations were for both Trevor and Barbara going into the season, that is a bit of a surprise. But then if you look, you'll see that Barbara's max points for is almost like 7 or 50 points higher than Trevor's. So someone needs to learn how to set a lineup. I don't really know what else to say there.
That's right there with the Jets, the Browns, just overall organizational dysfunction. Disgusting. I have nothing good to say about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then next part of the standings I want to talk about was just looking at this max point four. And again, just as a reminder, everyone, we do the draft order by max point four. And we actually have a pretty tight race right now into the bottom 5 teams in terms of what the maximum points are. So right now, if the 101 would be Logan, who's picked on by Ryan, and then Ryan would actually also have the 102 right now. Ryan recently traded away Aaron Jones, and probably an effort to again lower his max point four. So I mean, this is kind of like the PSA to the league that Ryan's not fucking around. Like he's trying to get that number as low as possible. And this is for any of the other rebuilders. You might want to start getting aggressive to be moving off of some pieces to try and lower it because Ryan's really, really working towards going towards that. Mostly a PSA for Trevor and Beans, I think, are the two that are most committed to losing right now. But who's to say with some of the other teams? But yeah, again, look, Shrew's here 5th in max points for so far in this point in the season, and really isn't all that far away from 2nd. But yeah, it's 10th in points scored. So
it's still a tight race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's still early.
It's still really early.
You kind of track the max point four here early in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just making moves now will end up paying dividends later in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more weeks you have good players off your roster, the easier it will be to get that 101.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the trade that went down this week. So yesterday we had this pop up where Levi received Aaron Jones in a 2027 second and sending away Trey Benson in a 2027 third. So Levi, you want to talk through this deal at all?
My perspective on it was I'm off to a 2-1 start. 2nd max points for 3 weeks in. Makes sense to maybe get rid of the guy that's not serving really any strong purpose to my success this season thus far. And if he gets hurt, he will get playing time, no doubt. But so the swap made sense player-wise. The picks, to me, I spent a second to get Trey Benson to defer that pick to a future year with the return being spending a third to get Aaron Jones just made enough sense for my team that I had to do that, especially with the first 3 games he's posted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have any thoughts on the deal, Mark?
Only downside is you got to root for a Viking now.
Yes.
Not only a Viking, but a former Packer.
Mhm.
Mhm.
These are very true things.
Yeah.
This is a deal I really like for both sides. Again, Levi's starting to make his push towards contending, and then again, acquiring a piece like Aaron Jones at a pretty good price. Yeah, you got a pretty good deal for him. So, and then I also really like it for Ryan though too. Ryan got his 101 or is trying to get the 101, and trading away someone like Aaron Jones is going to really help him get towards that goal.
Hmm.
And then also picking up a young piece and like he has a future lottery ticket in Trey Benson. So it's probably not going to do much for him this year, but that's kind of what he was looking to do.
Yeah. James Conner kind of seems to get hurt every year too. So who knows? He could find himself in a starting role, start showing some flashes this year.
Absolutely.
Fuck the Vikings.
Yeah. Fuck the Vikings. And then just a bit of a look at some of the upcoming matchups that we have this week. We have myself taking on Levi himself. We got Sokol taking on Trevor. We got Stun taking on Beans. We got Chaz and Jake. We got Barbara and Ryan. And then we got Mark and Logan. So we'll start at the bottom. Mark, how are you feeling about your matchup with Logan this week?
I mean, nothing's a given. You look at the percentages, they're pretty close here. I'm kind of limping along without a second quarterback here. Hoping for a little bit more than 4 points out of my super flex spot for this week. So kind of a welcome matchup. Not having to go against maybe one of the top powerhouses. But yeah, still not too sure if I'm gonna get a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is also a reminder that you can talk as much shit about Logan as you want. He's not going to listen to this anyway, so he'll really never know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, his team's trash, but I don't want to jinx anything. The fantasy gods are listening, so
There we go. That's all. That's what I
yeah.
wanted to hear. I need to get that trash talking out of the way. Yeah, and we also got a big matchup between the Poop Hive and Barbara's team. Barbara's looking like a pretty decent favorite there, favored to win by 17. I mean, I'm rooting for the Poop Hive personally. Just because again, I view Barber's team as a little bit stronger, but the Poop Hive can start 3-1, make a little bit of a run, might reconsider trying to get the 101 and maybe just make a push for the playoffs, but only time will tell.
Only time will tell. Hopefully, I mean, it's just on True to decide who to start and make the easy decision to replace Deshaun Watson. But
Mm-hmm. With literally any other quarterback on his team.
yeah, you can't teach common sense though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Matt Stafford is a bit of a hard start right now without Puka and without
Yeah,
Cooper Cup. So
against a great Bears defense too.
if only you had this 101 that you just had and that you just made, maybe you could start a player like that. But I don't know. Deshaun Watson's pretty good too, I guess. Anyway, another matchup. So Jake being a being favored over Chaz right now is one that's a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, Chaz is coming off his championship season. I mean, his team kind of shit the bed last week, but he was off to a very strong start through 2 weeks. Yeah, Jake's team, I'm not really sure what to make of. I mean, he has great top end talent.
Yeah.
And then the middle of his roster is just kind of mad at me. But I mean, if he can have his stars carry him, I mean, I think he is good of a shot as anyone. And then, yeah, so we also have our matchup between Stun and Beans. Stun is 3-0, Beans is 0-3. I mean, I'm expecting Stun to win, but the percent, like, it definitely could go in Beans' favor. You never know. I mean, if Justin Fields and Lamar any given week, both of them are capable of scoring 30 to 40 fantasy points. And if both of them can, or one of them can even have a performance like that, and the rest of the team might be strong enough to carry them to a win.
I don't know. League winner Andy Dalton apparently is the first quarterback this
Yeah.
season to put up 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just
Yeah.
kind of shows you what kind of year we've been having so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Andy Dalton's the chosen one.
Yeah.
Stun started Andy Dalton and David Blau in a championship game 5 years ago and was able to come out a league champion. So,
I tried to get Dalton from him before the start, but he was steadfast.
mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stun started him last week over Herbert too. Like Stun knows that Andy Dalton, like he is the chosen
Oh
one.
yeah. Yeah.
Like he has a full faith in Andy Dalton, which kudos to Stun. That Panthers offense has looked anemic for years, and he found a way to pull it off. So, give flowers where they're due.
And Stun is rightfully standing on atop the league right now. Only 3-0 team.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, next matchup after that is Sokol and Trevor. I mean, I'm expecting Sokol to win this one, although I mean Trevor again could always pull off another upset. I'm never going to rule it out. Josh
Yeah.
Allen and Malik Neighbors both are absolute cornerstones to build around, and so I mean Trevor did pretty well in this past draft getting him. And Neighbors looks like the real deal. I mean, he's currently the wide receiver 1 overall, not even just among rookies. So if he has QB1 and wide receiver 1 moving forward, I mean it might not be pretty this year, but starting in the future, I mean Trevor looks to be in a very strong position.
Yeah, and if the Lions offense kind of keeps sputtering as they are, yeah, this could be a tight matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so excited for that Lions Seahawks game on Monday night. Lions wearing their debuting the all black jerseys.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So that's gonna be fun. And then last matchup here to talk about is me versus Levi. So this is a bit of a like I predicted before the season Levi to finish 10th. I mean, I'm not too shocked him seeing him get off to a hot start. It's just like with the sheer amount of rookies that you had. I really don't know how to project rookies at the start of the year because some of them come out swinging, some of them take time to develop. But we have a pretty big 2-1 matchup between 2-1 teams here, and so I mean, I'd like to consider myself the favorite, but again, I just lost a mark, and so really anything can never happen in fantasy. I'm not gonna overlook any opponent.
we have the largest difference in percentage in terms of what sleepers guessing. So you certainly are the favorite. I'm still taking me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking Levi's side here. I think
Okay.
his team is trending up, especially with the Jones acquisition.
Mm-hmm. And Levi's the league hero. I totally get it. It's
Yeah.
hard to root against Levi. So I mean, the data shows it. People are America. You're America's team, Levi. People want you to
Yeah. Oh, the big mascot change really drew a lot of fans in.
win. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you also relocated out of Empire too, which I think was pretty important.
Huge. Yeah. 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 It's sort of like they got a team back, really.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then for this week's special segment, we are going to do a little recap of the 2023 rookie draft and then just look at some of what looks like have been the biggest hits and the biggest misses. Again, like Mark and I were talking about this before the show of like what we want to do for the segment. We were talking about doing a redraft of the 2024 draft, but it's kind of only 3 weeks in. I don't think things would change too much right now. But
Yeah, right now, no. But last year at this time, I feel like the values really quickly changed. The emergence of Puka and others that I'm sure we'll get into.
mhm.
Hmm.
But yeah, this year's been a little bit more, I don't know. I think just offensively across the league, it's been a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, no, quarterback play especially has looked down
Yeah.
to start the season, and I think a lot of it is all these teams are running that shell defense with the 2 high safeties,
Hmm.
and so I mean, we really might be seeing a resurgence back towards the run game. I mean, if teams are going to be running like smaller defenses out there, not having big bodies out there in the D line or big linebackers, like really could see the ground game be the dominance of the NFL again.
Yeah, but also the death of the bell cow running back. I feel like that's been affecting things too. So
Very true.
it's been a
Never
good
say
year to have
never,
some
though.
depth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have the draft from last year pulled up here, and then we can start with the first round. I mean, Ryan had taken Bijan at 1. I mean, I think even at the time that was the right pick. In hindsight, that's still not even really a bad pick. Like Bijan's definitely top 2 or 3 dynasty running back, depending on how you want to look at it. Doesn't have him anymore, but I mean, I think that's just the right time is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Would you guys take Shroud here just because he's the quarterback?
Yeah,
I would take Stroud 101.
yeah. If we were doing a redraft today, I think I would take Stroud 101 as well. Again, just because he's a young quarterback. I mean, I don't know if he necessarily
Yeah.
going to have like that top 3 to 5 ceiling, but I think he's going to be like QB 6 to 12 for a very long time.
Mm.
Mhm.
And then we also have a couple quarterbacks here taken by Levi. We have Bryce Young, who we moved off of this offseason, and then Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's been a little bit of a hit or miss so far. He had a pretty good week 1, and then has been a little bit of had some back-to-back struggles with, especially with interceptions. I mean, I have him in a couple leagues, and like I've been watching him play. I mean, it just feels like I mean, you can definitely tell he's inexperienced compared to some of the other quarterbacks in the league. But I mean, he definitely
Youngest
has a
quarterback in the league.
Yep, youngest quarterback in the league and still has a lot of raw tools. Like
Mhm.
there's still plenty of time for him to figure it out. He's just had a bit of a turnover issue. I mean, I'm really waiting for him to like really start taking off and running. I mean, I know Fields had a pretty similar like rookie season where he wasn't really being asked to take off and run a ton. I'm hoping that switches with Richardson soon, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Absolutely.
Maybe
Ceilings
this
there,
week.
perhaps.
Maybe this week.
Yeah. Then Mark, we have you taking Jameer Gibbs. If you were to do it
Go
over,
Lions.
go Lions. Yeah, glad to see you got your line. He was someone I was hoping would fall to me at 6 when we were doing this draft, but just from talking to everyone before the draft, I knew there was no way I was ever getting him at 6. But
Yeah, because he was locked in with me at the 4th pick just because he was drafted by the Lions. If he was picked up by a different team, I would have considered Stroud, but I just had to take the homer pick here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he also did go 12th overall. Like I don't remember
Yeah.
him really being mocked in the first round at all before the draft. So then him going so early too. I mean, if you take a running back that early, you're going to use them.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I think, running backs who are taking, especially first round running backs, are usually end up being pretty safe picks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, no, good job. We don't need to talk about Barber taking Stroud. We kind of already covered that one. I took JSN here. I kind of knew JSN I think he was the consensus 6 at the time. I mean, in hindsight, looking at what's on the board now, like probably Rashi Rice would be someone I would consider here, or Achan even. I mean, I think especially if those two in the second round are probably producing like that first round value, definitely over what JSN is doing. But and it was consensus at the time. I moved off him fairly early in the season to get Brees Hall. I mean, I still think there's plenty of time. I mean, he had a great week in week 2. I mean, I think like his upside is being like that Cooper Cup or like that Amon Ra, where you just like or target hog and just like racking up the catches. Definitely think that's still in his range of outcomes. I mean, he was just drafted to a situation where he had 2 star teammates at receiver. It was always going to be a bit of a
Mhm.
slow burn for him. And then I feel like when we were doing the draft, the next tier between Ass and QJ and Flowers, all at the time, were kind of seen as like the same tier. It was just kind of a matter of pick your preference. And the order went Addison, QJ, Flowers. I mean, Addison had a great rookie year. We haven't seen him play yet this year, but I mean, there's still a lot to be excited about. Jordan Addison. QJ had a bit of a down rookie year by all metrics, but he's had a bit of a resurgence this year. I think he's a top 24 receiver right now. He's had a handful of touchdowns. I mean, I think that's likely to come down just because he's been so dependent on touchdowns. But he's had a bit of a resurgence. And then Zay Flowers, he's in that Ravens offense. He's been getting a lot of those targets on like bubble screens at the line of scrimmage. That's just not a high volume passing offense. So I mean, I think he's doing really well for a situation. But you just kind of with someone like him, which the situation was just a little bit better because he seems to be a pretty good player as well.
Fun fact: Ryan has all 3 of these players now.
Yeah, Ryan does have all 3 of these players. Looks like Maze Man drafted both of them, so it must have been trades with Maze Man himself. But
Yeah.
Yeah, Chargers and Ravens kind of been some weird offenses so far. Very low passing volume.
Yeah, I mean it's both the Harbaugh brothers. They both had their identities of running the ball and then playing good defense. So can't be too shocked about it.
It's working.
Then after that, we kind of had Stun picking his running back army here with Charbonnet, Bigsby, and Kendre Miller. Charbonnet's off to a pretty good start this year. Tank Bigsby at the time, I thought was a bit of a surprising pick. And then, I mean, he's looked a lot better this year than he did last year, but he's still behind ETN on that depth chart. So, I mean, they've become in more of a timeshare of late. So, like, perhaps he has some standalone value if ETN gets hurt, but that's one where I just remember I wasn't sure at the time. And I mean, it's not really the next, like, between like 111 and like 205 is pretty long range of like kind of map picks. Dalton Kincaid was fine. Will Levis he is a starting quarterback right now. We'll see on how long that lasts.
It's a good way to describe him. He is a starting quarterback.
He is a starting quarterback. I mean, he's still young. He still has he has some upside still. But I don't know. He just reminds me of Carson Wentz, like late career Carson Wentz with some of the decision making he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember kind of the 109 was a big drop off here.
Mm-hmm.
When I was trading for Mark Andrews. I had to get Stun involved because I had the 110 and Ryan was adamant on the 109, so had to organize an extra little trade up to get the 109 just to kind of get the deal across the
Oh
finish line.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in hindsight, Zay Flowers over the rest of the late picks there. Good for Ryan to put his foot down. I think he got some good returns off that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, no, another fun one that was traded a handful of times was the 112. So originally Logan had that pick when he won the league, traded it to me for Amari Cooper. I then later traded the 112 in a three-team trade where Trevor sent away Jordan Love to Beans.
Mm,
I got Judy out of that deal. And it's looking back at that one in hindsight, it's not one I particularly care to look at. I kind of gave up a lot to get Jerry Judy, and Beans kind of ran away like a bandit with that, getting Love. Like I think that's one Trevor and I both kind of regret. I mean, Beans, yeah, getting Love was a clear winner there at the time. But I mean, Trevor still got Kincaid, who I mean, the tight end's an absolute wasteland right now. Kincaid's at least providing something. It's more than what most tight ends have going on right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Good stack with Allen.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I view Kincaid as like one of the three pillars of Trevor's team with Allen, Neighbors, and Kincaid as kind of like the like three core pieces moving forward.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
you got to give your tight end some time to develop.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, if we just want to like evaluate the first round as a whole, I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, Barbara had the best value pick here with CJ Stroud, and just kind of,
Just in the draft in general. I don't know how he did it. He had his magic 8 ball, but
hmm
yeah.
yeah. And the crazy thing is, so Barbara originally had this 205, and the 205 was going to be Sam Laporta until Stone offered this trade up from 209 to take Roshan Johnson. So yeah, Barbara almost had a draft that was Stroud, Laporta, Tank Dell, and Puka.
That would have sucked. It would have been hard to root against Laporta.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the second round, like I look at the second round as a whole, and I mean I see like what I would consider four like hits with Achan, Laporta, Jaden Reed, and Rashi Rice. Like I mean I think those four have like their value certainly increased since the time they were drafted and have like been very very good fantasy producers. And then like there's still a couple players in here that are solid. Like Tajay Spears, I think is a solid handcuff. Like Will Levis is a starting quarterback. Uh, But yeah, I mean, I think especially like where Logan had taken Rashi Rice, probably is the best value of what was taken in the second round right now.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I was debating Hooker and Rice, but kind of had to stick with the Homer pick. Go Lions.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh, Lions.
Go Lions.
yeah, that was a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of those things where you kind of don't want to see Hooker take the field because that means, Goff is bad or injured. So I hope I never see Hooker play, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, at the time, like Goff,
yeah.
Goff had a pretty solid 2022, but like he was in no guarantee of having a
Hmm.
contract extension going into that
Hmm.
23 season. So I mean, it was I think it was
Yeah, and
a gamble.
I think Levi and both of us were a little turned off by the KC receiver room
Definitely
after
at the
after what their
time.
guys have done to us. I remember us talking about that when I was on the clock.
Sky Moore and
Yeah, and Tony.
T. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the message was if Rice succeeds, we riot.
Yep. Oh boy, we rioting.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Rice really, I think, has taken over that Travis Kelsey role in that offense, where
Hmm.
I mean he gets everything over the middle and then like at the line of scrimmage and just racks up extra yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rice looks pretty good right now. Yeah, moving on to the third round. I mean, really looking at the third round, this is a pretty sad to look at. This is I mean, Tank Dell was the best pick, and Tank Dell was pretty solid last year. He's off to a really slow start this year. I mean, acquiring Stephon Diggs definitely hurts him a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is kind of gross to look at. I mean, Beans had a couple good picks with Josh Downs and Chase Brown. I mean,
Hmm.
who's to say like how good they necessarily become for fantasy? They might just be better real life players than fantasy players. But yeah, honestly, looking at this third round is kind of disgusting. I don't. Some of these guys I don't think are even on NFL teams anymore. Maybe I'm not sure about Sean Tucker, I guess, or like Deuce Vaughn. I think Boute's still on the
Ooh,
Patriots, but yeah, a lot of these guys have just like really turned into like French, like rosterable players
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And then I think that looking at the fourth round, though, I think there was definitely, I mean, or Barbara did draft Puka in the fourth round. And then really all three quarterbacks that were drafted in the fourth round, DTR, Aiden O'Connell, Clayton Tune, all did start a game as a rookie. So for fourth round picks, not too shabby. I mean, Aiden O'Connell might be taking the job away from Minshew anytime now, according to Antonio Pierce. Sounds like he's kind of willing to make a quarterback change if needed. So maybe you don't need a QB two. You might have Aiden O'Connell in the wings there, maybe coming back before Tua does.
Yeah. Yeah, fingers crossed there. Not that I expect too many points out of him in that offense, but
at
Mhm.
least
and
5.
yeah, yeah, better
Yeah.
better than Jordan Whittington.
Yeah, I mean, he does
Mhm.
still have Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. Like he had, like there is a pretty like solid group of receivers there. I just like I don't know. I don't really think their defense is all that good. I think they're going to be in a lot of negative game scripts. So he could rack up some passing, like how Andy Dalton just had a massive game. I could see Aiden O'Connell just
That's
like
true.
having like that kind of a random massive game because his team gets down so early. Then they just like have to pass the ball to try and
Mm.
get back into it. And there's really not much to say about the fourth round. I mean, just undrafted Michael Wilson.
That's a good pick.
That was a good pick at the time. That was
Mhm.
when that was someone I was really looking at when I was at 406. That was something that was probably who I would have taken if I was on the clock at 307 had I kept those picks and not trade them to Beans. Yeah, so a little bit of a fun story. I've probably told most of the league this at this point, but I traded Beans the 206 as a part of the Judy trade. And then I had the 302 and the 307. And I really wanted to trade up ahead of Chaz to get Jaden Reed because I knew Jaden Reed was not getting past Chaz. Again, same reasons, like he's a homer pick, he's a Spartan. And then like even though he is a Packer, which is fucking disgusting, it was like I mean I just kind of that's kind of who I was targeting. And then so I had that trade lined up with Beans, and I really wasn't planning on taking Achan. He was 12th on my board going into the draft, and then just like seeing him there, it's like, well, fuck, I don't think I can pass on him now. Like my plan was to take Jaden Reed to jump Chaz, but I mean I'm pretty happy with how that one ended out.
He was the 6th running back taken.
He was the seventh running back taken.
7. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
So again, it's all luck of the draw though.
Mhm.
Like who knows? Roshan Johnson might be taking over for Swift here anytime soon. I mean Charbonnet maybe he just ends up as the lead horse over K9. Maybe the Seahawks.
Yeah, if he can't stay healthy, yeah.
Mhm.
And then I mean, Kendra Miller's an injury away from potentially having some relevance, although vibes are kind of bad with him right now too. But yeah, so this is the 2023 draft class. I'm sure in about a year we'll be doing something similar to the 2024 draft class. I guess do either of you have any like closing thoughts on what do you think of the 23 draft about like how teams did or what happened?
Yeah, whatever draft prep materials that Barbara had, I would love to know what they were looking at. I didn't even know who Puka was when I
Mhm.
took O'Connell the pick before. So yeah, clearly he had the secret sauce of what was going on.
I think we all learned quite a bit from our first rookie draft.
Hmm.
I think we all saw a lot of different strategies take place that won't be repeated as well.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I will say I think what Barbara did was took Stroud and then Tank Dell was the stack with Stroud, and then Puka was the stack with Matt Stafford. And so it really just kind of made sense at the time to just like, well, shoot for the upside of drafting the stacks on your own team,
Hmm.
which is something Ryan did this year with Luke McCaffrey. He took both Jane Daniels and Luke McCaffrey, maybe trying to recreate some of that magic. I'm sure if like, oh yeah, Levi took Drake May and Jalen Polk. That could be one that later in the season could pay some dividends once May gets a starting gig.
Maybe Javon Baker.
And maybe Javon Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that Patriots wide receiver room kind of looks wide open right now. So yeah, who knows what'll happen.
I wonder what other stacks we're taking this year.
Yeah. Anyway, we're starting to run out of time on the show. Mark, I really do appreciate you hopping on and joining.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts? Do you have any shit you want to talk about anyone?
Closing thoughts. Yeah, just came on the show to advertise that the inbox is open if anyone has an extra quarterback.
All right. You heard it here, folks, first. Mark wants another quarterback, believe it or not. I'll give you Aaron Rodgers.
You know what? As much as I don't like him, I'll take him.
Okay, maybe we can discuss something else offline after this, but probably not. All right, Levi, you have any final or closing thoughts?
Not really. No, I'm a sleepy boy, and this was a good podcast. So good job, guys.
Yeah, and just for the people listening at home, we are currently recording this at 10 p.m. on Wednesday night. I just got finished watching the latest episode of Survivor. I had to make everyone wait until I was done watching the episode. So thank you, boys, for hopping on at such a late time. Although I guess it's really not that late for you, Mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna
But
get some dinner.
yeah, I had like 20 views on that first podcast on YouTube. I'm pretty proud of that. So hoping we can exceed that with this one. With that, I hope everyone has a great morning, great evening, great night whenever you're listening to this. See ya.
Go Lions.
Go Cows.
Go Lions and Cows.